Hi guys, a quickie here. Well, I often say quickie and it turns out to be much longer, but this is something I picked up from, there's a website called frets.com which is run by Frank Ford, and he's an instrument maker amongst other things, and on his site he has all sorts of interesting bits and pieces that he's made for various purposes. And on the way looking through, I saw this, which was using, well, I've got a couple of cam roller bearings here which are spare from Steady Finger project. I never used them, so I'm going to use them now. And I'm just drilling, it's a 4.5-inch piece of 1/2-inch square, which is going to go in a tool post, tool holder. I'm just going to put an 8mm hole through for the bearing one end. Right, that's one end. I meant to mention the I've got leather in the vise there, not only for grip but to give me enough gap for the 8mm clearance between the chuck jaws so I don't chew them up. Right, that's through the other end, and that basically is all we've got to do. As far as the actual function goes, I'll try and demonstrate, but it's one of those things that seems so darn simple, and probably not going to be used very much. Let's just clean this piece up. I've got to so we've got our holes for the cam bearings, and the ends, these ends here, need to be rounded off. I can't be bothered to mill it, I'll just do it on the grinder just to get a little bit of relief on that. And then we'll put the bearings in and try and show you the operation. So I've got to grind quite a little bit off here. Right, well, they've finished the this piece of bar, cleaned it up a bit, and the ends, purely a ground radius. I could smooth that off a bit, but this isn't really meant to be a super duper piece of work. It's functional on the rare occasion that it might be used. And we're putting the bearings on opposing sides. Yeah, I've got my extra glasses on. So we'll put this in a tool holder in a minute, and I'll try and show you what it's meant to do. I haven't tried it for function. I haven't tried it at all, but the theory seems all right. Okay, so that's what we've got. Now let's put it in the tool holder and see if I can show you what it's supposed to do. One quick incidental, by the way. The use of magnets, which are always extremely useful. That's just one example. Glue a neodymium on the back of a little notepad, and then if you're wanting some dimensions whilst you're working, I mean there's nothing written on there, but take a piece of 1/2-inch copper pipe, fill it with epoxy and put a neodymium magnet in it, and then you can use that to put your notes on the side of the machine for a particular job. Simple. Useful things, magnets. No, I don't reckon this is going to be used very often. It was just a quick, simple thing to knock up. I think the main use is, and I can't really find anything good to dummy up on here, this is just a chunk of lead. It's not very flat, but what you have to assume here is that you have a rather thin disc with a decent face on it, but you want to drill a center hole, something without too much force, because obviously if you tighten up your jaws too much you're going to risk bell mouthing the chuck jaws. But the principle is, which is all I'm trying to show, is that we bring the bearing up to the center and then rotate and come back out to the edge. Of course this isn't dead flat, so it's really not ideal at all for the purpose, but I think you may get the idea. So I'll just touch a little bit harder, rotate and come out. It's touching intermittently, but the principle is all you need to imagine. Just that odd occasion when you want to true up a very thin disc, you don't need to hold it too tight, so you start the bearing in the middle, you bring it out to the outside, maybe repeat, the idea being then that you get a, without putting a dial gauge on it, you're getting pretty true. Otherwise you've got to use a dial gauge and a mini hammer and goodness knows what. So from that point of view I think this is quite handy. The other end I'm not so sure about. I'll try and show you how that's meant to work. Now this end I'm not so sure I'll be using it very much. Might be one of those things that was quick to make which finds another purpose, but again consider we've got something a bit short and stubby in here. This is just a scrap. But the idea, I think for me anyway, is to come in sort of a thou at a time until it just turns the bearing. So this again is without putting an indicator on. Now that's picking the bearing up once every revolution. So that's a very quick check, which lets me know that the although the chuck isn't fully tightened, lets me know that something isn't quite running true. As I say, I don't think that end will be used a lot. Anyway, it was just one of those things I had a fancy to make. Ever so simple, and I think it might prove useful for other things. You never know. I must get on with some sort of bigger project soon, not sure what. Anyway, thanks for watching that little experiment. Catch you later.